Some people hear old money. They think old-fashioned or outdated. And sometimes that's true, but more often than not, these are brands that are staying on the cutting edge. There's a reason that they've been around for, in some cases, hundreds of years. Example being the French company Hermes. Founded in 1837, these guys started off just making horse harnesses. Yes, they were for nobles and they were very good quality, but that was their specialty for a number of years until they decided to branch off. So in 1880, I think it was Charles took over for his father, Thierry, and basically took him in a different direction. He started selling retail. He actually moved the factory to the location it's at today, and he started to expand the business. By 1910, the grandsons had taken over. They were selling a lot of the saddles and bridles and stuff over to Russia. From the 1920s on, they jumped into clothing and they've never looked back. But when you look at their logo, what do you see? You see the foundation, you see where these guys came from. Nowadays though, especially if you're a man, if you're going in to buy an Hermes, yeah, you could pick up a bag, but most often you're grabbing one of their well-known neckties, maybe one of their scarves, or perhaps their classic leather belt with an H buckle, which if you know the history now, you understand that these guys have been doing leather and they've been doing it well for almost 200 years. Now, if you ever get the chance to go to London and you're a menswear enthusiast, you owe it to yourself to stop by Savile Row. Besides being a great looking street, it is also home to some of the best tailors and seamstresses on the planet. Now, if you're familiar with the first Kingsman movie, you'll probably remember that part. They went into that tailor shop. Now, parts of that were real. The outside entrance, this is an actual tailor shop on Savile Row. Anyone know what it is? Let me know in the comments below. But when you walk down the street, not only are you going to see that one, but you've got Henry Poole. You've also got at one Savile Row, one of the oldest tailors on the row, Jeeves and Hawkes. Founded in 1771, Jeeves and Hawkes has served royalty. They've served military. They've just served gentlemen throughout the UK whenever they want to look their best. Let's go over to the shoe area. So let's start with John Lobb, a company founded in 1849. So yeah, relatively, new, not even 200 years old. These guys have been making custom shoes and they've got tons of lasts. These guys focused in on footwear. And what's great is once they've got your last, once they've got a shape of what your foot is like, they can make for you any type of shoe. So the next company was founded in 1850 in Newark, New Jersey. The company I'm talking about here started off as a simple shoe company and now has grown into, I think, one of the best options if you're looking for affordable classic menswear and you happen to be in an airport. I think they got some of the best stores right in airports around the United States. Who am I talking about? Johnson and Murphy. Now, to this day, Johnson & Murphy is still known for their shoes. And I think they've done a really good job, not just with the classic shoes, but actually bringing in a mix of that classic looking shoe mixed in with the sneaker. That being said, in recent years, they've done a good job expanding into other pieces of men's clothing. In fact, if you're looking for some good jackets, don't sleep on Johnson & Murphy. I go in there and I'm always amazed at great jackets I can find. Now, the fit, I think, it leaves a little bit to be desired. So you got to make sure it actually fits your body type. That being said, you can get things adjusted, especially sports jacket, suit jackets, but their shoes are still where it's at. And of course, anyone that makes good shoes oftentimes makes good accessories. So belts and other things like that to do a good job with as well. Now, jumping back over to outerwear, let's talk about Burberry. 1856 is when this company was founded. And the number one garment that Burberry became known the world over for is the trench coat. Nowadays, the trench coat isn't as popular as it used to be, but starting in the late 1880s, 1890s, they were initially made for the military. Those serving over in the Boer War, they found them very useful. They were custom made and they expanded this out. So going into World War I, it was initially an officer's coat. Eventually, even the enlisted men were asking for these things. Nowadays, Burberry is known for their high quality jackets. They sell a lot more than just trenches, but still a key identifier of a Burberry jacket, besides the logo, besides the brand name, is going to be that Nova check design. This is a very distinctive tartan pattern that really adds a bit of color whenever you flash and you can see the inside of the coat. Now, what if you want an outdoor coat that's functional for hunting? You want something that, is going to have a cotton, but a waxed cotton? Check out Barber. Founded in 1894, what I love about Barber is just how strong, masculine. These are great looking jackets. They're going to be a little bit pricey, not as pricey as you would think though. And these guys have remained true for well over 100 years to what they're about. These are functional outdoor coats, and that's really been their outerwear. They've got a wide range of other pieces of clothing and accessories and stuff like that. But I have to say it's still their jackets, it's their outerwear, it's their outside work gear, not really work, more for hunt and sport. But if you want something that's warm uniform, a bit more delicate, a bit more clean in the style. In the lines, check out Loro Piana. 1924, these guys founded over in Italy. Yes, not all the old money brands are going to be coming out of the UK or France, but what I love about Loro Piana is going to be their knitwear. If you're looking for a higher end sweater, if you're looking for a classic design, if you're looking for something that is going to just feel, just cashmere, just absolutely beautiful, at the same time fit close to the body and be timeless in style, Loro Piana, it's hard to beat. Now, what if you want an Italian suit? Then look no farther than Zegna. Yes, there are tons of other great brands that I would recommend. They got some of the best fabrics out there, especially if you want something soft, breathable. When it comes to the style, second to none. They are going to be pricey. If you want a sports jacket, if you want a blazer that is, just absolutely beautiful. The craftsmanship, the detail, this is Italian elegance at its finest. Let's talk about the American classic Brooks Brothers, founded actually in 1818. So it's the oldest company in the United States. And Brooks Brothers didn't start out by making its own clothing. They were simply reselling other clothing that they were getting from around the world, mostly from the UK or a few manufacturers in the United States. What I love about this company is now there are just certain pieces that are iconic to Brooks Brothers. One of them is the sack suit. And this was really the first mass manufactured jacket suit that was made for people to be able to throw on. In addition, Brooks Brothers is known for the button-down collar. Of course, there are other companies that picked up on this, but the button-down Oxford, the button-down collar that we would see on a lot of shirts and polos included, this was started apparently with Brooks Brothers. Now, what about a modern old money brand? Well, we got Ralph Lauren. So 1967, relatively younger than all the other brands we've talked about today. But when it comes to having made a splash, especially in the United States and on the world, it's hard to find a brand that really has done more. Being able to give the masses the feeling of this old money preppy style and making it popular, that's the gift that they were able to give. Chinos, blazers, shorts, all the different shirts that you need for that preppy look. I would say that Ralph Lauren didn't write the preppy handbook, but he pretty much perfected it and supplied everything that people were looking for after they read that book. And it seems like everyone on the East Coast, 1960s, 1970s, 1980s especially, they were wearing his clothing. But if you want something a little bit more modern, something that actually is a relatively new company, founded in 2009, MJ Bale. Now, as I was over on their website, one of the things I really liked is their look on linen shirts. And linen shirts are classic. Go over on their website. Yes, they've got great looking suits. They've got some really nice sweaters. And they've even got some sharp looking trench coats over there. And let's not forget Politics, founded in Australia in 1975. These guys started off as a boutique leather jacket maker. Now they've really gone into the fashion side. And I'm not going to say I love everything over on their website, but I do like seeing, a brand that was founded in Australia. If you are Australian, if you've got Australian heritage, or you just simply enjoy, the culture and that country, check them out. Oh, and I almost forgot the Kiwis. Guys, let's jump over to New Zealand and let's look at Rod and Gun, founded in 1946. Now, if you know anything about New Zealand, you know that these people have a lot of sheep in that country. So this is reflected and it makes a lot of sense. They're going to be having some great wool sweaters over at Rod and Gun. That being said, they're also known for their dress shirts and their polo shirts. They use a really nice cotton. And I do like how they stick with a lot of classic styles. So even their sports jackets, their trousers, everything over on that website, actually, it really suits my style. The more I learn about this company, the more I love what they're doing. Now, this next brand was established in 1980. And what I really like about them is they didn't try to put an ostentatious logo right in your face. They keep it really muted, really just understated, and they have good quality for what you pay for. The brand I'm talking about is Muji. Minimalist design, and like I said, no logos. What I love about Muji, if you go over to their website, you're going to have some great t-shirts, if you're looking for a linen blended shirt, and if you want a wool blended cardigan, these guys got you covered. And if you've never bought clothing from Japan, understand that the sizing is going to be a little bit smaller. This next Japanese brand has been around since 1946. Now, they've got their hands in tons of other things, electronics and stuff, but watches are what we're going to talk about today. And of course, the brand we're talking about is Casio. The Casio G-Shock. This is the sportsman watch. Yes, all these other watches may claim that they went to the moon, they go underwater, all this other stuff, but here's the thing is the G-Shock just gets the job done. They're tough, they're functional, and in my opinion, they are timeless. The next two brands on this list consistently produce high quality products. You could argue that the product they put out today is easily in the top 5% in their industry. They both also have cult followings where vintage pieces are sold for more than what the original ever cost. I tell you all this because I don't think most people, especially Westerners, are going to say that these companies are old money. But it depends on how you look at it, because I think over in Japan, there are a lot of people that prefer this brand over inferior Western products that are just, in their opinion, overpriced. The brands I'm referring to, gentlemen, are Seiko and Orient. First up, Seiko, founded in 1881 by Kintaro Hattori. For the first 11 years of his business, he focused in on jewelry. And it wasn't until 1892 that he started to sell watches. In fact, it wasn't until 1924 that Seiko started to produce its own watches under its name. But it was post-World War II, specifically the 1960s, when things started getting interesting. First up, they wanted to compete with the Swiss. They traveled over to Switzerland and started competing in the competitions, and actually came very close to beating and winning the Swiss till the Swiss decided, you know what, we're just going to end that contest. So how'd they react? Well, they didn't say anything publicly. They just came back to Japan and they created in 1969 the world's first quartz watch. Since then, Seiko has continued to lead and innovate. In fact, when we look at the particular models like the Prospex, Presage, the Seiko 5 series, and one of my recent favorites, Grand Seiko, we can see that this company has taken the philosophy of be so good they can't ignore you to, maybe an extreme. Now, Orient, on the other hand, has only been around since 1950, but what I love about this company is their commitment to in-house manufacturing of their movement. Since the beginning, these guys have been focused in on quality and authenticity, and their designs are absolutely beautiful. In fact, a lot of people knock Seiko for the design. Orient comes in and just cleans house here. This beautiful watch right here, the Bambino. Just look at this thing. This is a beautiful dress watch. And I have to say, their dive watches, what I love about these is there's just something a little bit more fun. It's the details. They just look a little bit nicer, I think, than the Seikos. And even some of my higher end tool watches, even from Rolex. Right here, just the accents, the colors, the mixing in. And you've got the Ray 2, the Mako 2, and I think they've even come out with later versions, but these are absolutely beautiful watches. All right, so enough about watch brands. Now, this next clothing brand has only been around since 1983, but when you look at the aesthetic, you're going to find, you know what, this is like Brooks Brothers, except more modern, and I have to say, recently, probably even better. Seriously, despite being relatively new, they really give off an old money type of vibe, and they do this by, taking what could be on the runway, but they make it practical, they make it applicable. I mean, this is stuff that you can wear to work. At the same time, you are never going to be out of fashion because they stay up on that stuff pretty well. And when it comes to the key staple items I would be grabbing from this company, that's going to be cashmere sweaters. They've got a great selection of classic chinos, tailored suits, and their classic Ludlow dress shirts. If you haven't figured it out, the company I'm talking about is J. Crew. And let's talk about the Ludlow suit. Introduced in 2008, this suit was viewed at the time as maintaining a classic silhouette, yet a modern overall feel. And for so many young men out there that were entering the workforce but wanted something affordable, J. Crew was able to to be able to make sure that they could fill the closet and be able to show up to work well dressed. Now, this next brand just turned 100 years old, founded in 1920 in Seattle, Washington. Even before I got into fashion, I picked up a number of pieces from this brand because they were functional, such as their outerwear, which is weather resistant, still has a really nice rugged look to it. They've also got a great selection of boots, although their quality maybe has gone down over the last couple decades. I'd have to say still they're decent. Now, for a lot of people though, it's going to be their signature cotton sweaters that set them apart. Cotton is nice because you can throw it in the wash and it's relatively durable and not super hot. So a great sweater when you've got that in between. You don't want to wear wool, but on the other hand, you need something to be able to provide just a bit of insulation. The company I'm talking about, gentlemen, is Eddie Bauer. Now, a little known fact about Eddie Bauer is they were originally known for inventing and patenting the first quilted down jacket in the US. When you go over to their website, you're going to see they've got a full line of different menswear pieces. Again, not everything here is going to be old money, but if you know what you're looking for, it's relatively easy to find. Now, speaking of knowing what you're looking for, this next brand, I was in one of their stores, a flagship store in Tokyo, and I got lost. Literally, it was 8 stories of clothing. But I loved it because as I was just going through this, I'm like, man, I understand why these guys have become so popular. Why since 1949, these guys have been making a mark in the fashion and style world. Let me correct myself. It actually was in 1984 that they opened their first store. Before that, they were a textile manufacturer, and that store in Hiroshima was called Unique Clothing Warehouse. The brand I'm talking about is Japan's Uniqlo. Gents, if you're looking for a classic cotton t-shirt, you want a good-looking, affordable cashmere sweater that doesn't have any crazy patterns on it and is just going to be in a solid color, easy to match, easy to dress up, dress down. You want some selvage denim that's not going to break the bank, or you want a lightweight down jacket that looks good and is going to be able to serve you. You're going to be able to pack up and really, again, doesn't have any big logos on it. Gents, if that's what you're looking for, you don't need to go any farther than your nearest Uniqlo store. Now, if you're looking to level up your style, you really need to check out my free community over on School. I've set this community up so we've got free classes that you can make your way through step by step and learn the basic foundations of men's style. We actually have giveaways. In fact, this year alone, I've given away over $15,000 in gear that has accumulated here in my office, and I love sending it out to you guys free of charge. And I have to say, the men that are in this group are friggin' awesome. We've got a no a-hole policy. People treat each other with respect. And what we've managed to create in this community is a place where a man can come in and ask questions and get some solid advice. So gents, use the link in the description of today's video. Go check out our free communities on School. These are for you to become the man you know yourself to be. For our next brand, let's head over to Canada. 1985, this company was founded and was acquired actually in 1999 by Ralph Lauren. That being said, even since the acquisition, it's done a pretty good job of maintaining its high quality standards and its sleek styles. And that's what I like about this brand. They've got the classic styles, but they still add a little bit of a modern element to it. And their cuts and fits are usually on point. If you're looking for a chambray shirt, check them out. If you're looking for a jumper, if you're looking for a cashmere sweater, if you're looking for a more modern, edgy combination with a sports jacket and hoodie, then check them out. And I'm talking about Club Monaco. They've also got a solid collection of knit shirts, but in general, the colors that you see here are going to be mostly muted. They're going to be easy to mix, match, and if you're looking for foundational pieces to a classic man's wardrobe, you'd be hard-pressed to find a better deal than what you're going to find at Club Monaco. This next old money brand isn't even 40 years old. Founded in 1985, the idea and the vision for this brand was to redefine American cool, to be able to bring it into the clothing and to capture the masses' hearts by putting out pieces that were, embodied by rock stars at the same time, were approachable and were just classic in their design. And with their red, white, and blue logo that actually isn't too much in your face, these guys definitely are 100% American. Who am I talking about? Gentlemen, Tommy Hilfiger. Now, some of you guys can argue that their quality has gone down in the last 20 years. I'm not going to, I think if you go in there and you know what you're looking for, you can still find some great deals, especially when they do have sales. But if you're looking at polos, if you're looking at the basics, we're talking underwear, undershirts, if you're just looking for a good pair of chinos. And their sweatshirts are always classic. Again, try to avoid the big logo, but I do like the overall look, and the brand has actually been having a resurgence. So go in there, check them out. If it's been a while, a lot of people associate them with the 1990s. I think that they're making a comeback, and they look pretty good. Now, this next old money brand was founded in 1963 out of Chicago by a gentleman named Gary Comer. The company was originally a yachting supply company, and they did happen to make some clothing, but over the years they realized, hey, our clothing is selling a lot better and it's a much bigger market, so let's move over there. That being said, they've always paid attention to the quality of the materials, of the fabrics, and the build. And to this day, they've got some great items that if you're looking to be able to go out, you're going to be on a boat, or you're just simply going to be walking the streets of Los Angeles when it's windy with the rain you guys have been getting, or again, you just simply want something that's quality made, look no further than Land's End. Now, the clothing to check out at the Land's End are going to be their jackets, in particular, the Squall jacket. This one has been around for a long time, and they're very famous for it. But if you just want to pick up a pair of chino shorts, a pair of jeans, or a polo shirt, you're going to find that Land's End has good quality here. Now let's head over to Germany. And the company we're about to talk about was founded almost 100 years ago in 1924. Now, the first 20 to 30 years, they've got a little bit of an interesting history if you want to go do a little bit of research on them. Let's just say fascism in Europe. But by the 1950s, the 1960s, they were retooling themselves, and they really started getting into the growing European fashion market. So in the 1980s, they made a splash. All of a sudden, everyone's talking about them. Guys, I'm talking about Hugo Boss. Now, the classic items from Hugo Boss are going to be those crisp dress shirts, are going to be the tailored suits. And they've also got a good collection of fragrances. That being said, Hugo Boss is on this list because they do maintain the timeless elegance. Sometimes they fall into fashion trends, but overall you can go in here and you can dress well at an affordable price. Now, this next brand, some of you guys may not consider an old money brand, but they're one of the oldest on this list. Founded in Oregon in 1863, this company has continued to focus in on woolen clothing. For many in the fashion know, they embody the American West. The company I'm talking about is Pendleton. So first up, they're wool shirts. These shirts have been worn by cowboys. They've been worn by Hollywood stars. They've been worn by people in the East Coast that just simply want a different look. They definitely have a unique style, but that's what everyone loves about them, and the fact that they are incredibly functional. These woolen shirts are going to keep you warm. They're going to be able to deal with the drizzle. They are going to be able to, they're just incredibly functional and a classic piece that when you buy it, it's going to last you a lifetime. Pendleton is a unique brand that you definitely, if you've never heard of them, you want to go check them out. Next company on this list was founded in 1912 in the city of Freeport, Maine. Now, the founder had an interesting first name, middle name combination. Leon Leonwood. Seriously, who names their kid this? Especially with the last name Bean. Well, thankfully for us, he decided to shorten it. He went with LL Bean, which is much catchier. And nowadays, if you go into that store, tons of great items that are going to give an old money vibe that you can find at an affordable price. Seriously, when it comes to flannel shirts, LL Bean is hard to beat. If you go into one of their stores, I was one at the Mall of America, man, it was just tons of flannel everywhere. Their fisherman sweaters, also really nice and coming out of Maine, pretty darn authentic. But the one item that put them on the map is so ugly, but so functional, is their duck boot. Now, straight up, from a functional perspective, this thing gets the job done, hence why so many people, especially on the East Coast, where you get the rain, you get the sleet, you get the snow, just absolutely love these things. This is definitely hunter gear, hence when it started and where it comes from. But it was adopted by people that just simply wanted to be able to keep their feet warm. It became a fashion icon, trended up and down, and still to this day, it is now an iconic piece from the LL Bean company. Now, gents, I know I skipped over a lot of brands in today's video. If you want to see more, let me know in the comments below and I'll make a part 2. But in the meantime, if you're wondering what are the essential old money items that you need to have in your wardrobe, well, guys, I got you covered with this video. Boom, right here. Go check it out. It's a solid one. I think you will enjoy. Oh yeah.